Welcome to Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about the Buccaneers Season 2 on Apple TV+. Might I add, this sophomore season kicked off in the finest of fashion, setting a gorgeous tabletop for what we are to expect here in Season 2. If you're watching this video, you probably already know the TV show is based on the 1938 unfinished novel by Edith Wharton. That said, I have not read the book, so please keep any book spoilers out of the comments. I would appreciate that. I love to watch these shows adapted from books with no preconceived notion about what to expect and really just approach it as a TV viewer. So I really appreciate that. And The Buccaneers is an 1870s romantic historical drama, which is heavy on the love triangles. And early question, just going to take the temperatures here. Are you Team Theo or are you Team Guy? Drop it in the comments and let me know. And this is a question I'm going to keep asking throughout the season because things change and you never know where we're going to end up from now until episode 8. And yes, we will be getting a full 8 episodes. The key art for this season reads Kiss, Marry, Run. Does this refer to Nan having married Theo and then Ginny ran off? Or could this mean that we could potentially expect Nan to be running away from her marriage with Theo, with Guy, at some point this season? Theo already seems to be a little bit suspicious of things, especially because he found Guy's coat with that handkerchief, and his mom's like, oh yeah, there's nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. I don't think Theo necessarily believes her, and of course, his mom has this agreement with Nan where she was going to help Ginny escape, and Nan was going to be the dutiful wife and keep Theo happy and really make things work. We will also see how that secret keeping goes this season. Initial reactions from this episode. Visual stunner. The cinematography for this show is just gorgeous. From the opening sequence, which is bright and bold and vibrant, and despite the fact that this is a historical drama, a lot of the music and the visuals really lend themselves to feeling like a more young and modern show. And it's funny because I'm not normally into historical dramas whatsoever. I did dabble a little bit with Outlander more for the time travel of it all, but my friend Jess over at Matt and Jess TV was like, hey, you might be into this show, give it a try. And sure enough, after episode 1, I was completely sold. Even the opening song, North American Scum, could not be a better fit for this show. And the needle drops in general, just fast forwarding to the end of this episode, we heard Sabrina Carpenter looking at me when Nan emerged from that carriage, took off that overcoat, and revealed the red dress. Now, love that song, great needle drop, very modern, but is this a missed opportunity? Could we have heard some Taylor Swift Red perhaps? I think that would have been very fitting. But at the same time, Red seems to be a popular song and album choice for The Summer I Turned Pretty. We heard a song from Taylor Swift's album Red on the Summer I Turned Pretty trailer. In fact, 2 of them, Daylight and Red. So I'm wondering, perhaps Taylor Swift thought, you know what, I'm only going to sell these songs to a teen drama that's coming out this summer, and they ended up going with The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is fine. And speaking of that show, if you like the Buccaneers and the love triangle, check out The Summer I Turned Pretty. Its 3rd and final season is coming to Prime Video next month, and this is also adapted from books. There is a girl choosing between 2 brothers. You can still catch up on these 2 seasons and be ready in time for season 3 come next month. And while we're at it, please go ahead, like this video, and subscribe to my channel because along with The Summer I Turned Pretty, I am also going to be here with Buccaneers videos 3 times a week. I'll be doing a review, a next episode preview, and a theory video. I just dropped a review for We Were Liars, which just dropped its entire 8 episodes on Prime Video. I'm going to be covering Dexter Resurrection in July, along with a new show called The Institute on MGM+, and that one feels like a very disturbing and dark type of version of Stranger Things. So if you like Stranger Things, you might like The Institute, worth adding on to your Prime Video subscription. It is adapted from a Stephen King book and looks very, very creepy. And finally, I am also finishing up my weekly coverage of Poker Face on Peacock. That is a really fun mystery of the week show starring the great Natasha Lyonne. So that's what's going on at my channel. I do hope you stick with me for all of the TV talk this summer, but for now, let's dive into this episode 1 premiere of the Buccaneers season 2. It is called The Duchess of Tintagel. And just getting back to my initial reactions from this episode, very strong overall. Something I love and appreciate about this show is this clash of cultures. We've got the Americans and then we've got English high society. I love seeing those two really butting heads and coming up against each other. And then the female empowerment of it all. Of course, we're in a time back in the 1870s here when traditionally women don't have a voice. Nan has subverted that from the time we met her climbing down that building at Conchita's wedding, not being afraid to chime in about art or culture or share her opinions on things. And now that the wedding has already happened, Theo's mom is like, hey, nothing before I do matters. What matters now is how you present yourself, how you make my son happy. And hey, by the way, we're going to be going to this black and white ball, and this is going to be a great opportunity for you to show everybody how you intend to behave. And Nan said it all without saying a word when she emerged and that red dress came out. People are like, what is she doing? And first of all, the hair, the dress, it all comes down to these bold, vibrant colors, the costuming, the casting. Everything with this show is just done so well. All of the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. The needle drops are perfect. I think one of my favorite visual moments in this episode, really among many, when they set off those beautiful paper lanterns and said, this one's for Ginny, as the camera pans out, this beautiful wide shot and visuals with color perfection, everything about it, it is stunning to watch. And something we've been waiting for since the end of season 1, Nan's mom reveal. And tying back into that red dress for a moment, Leighton Meester, who is, yes, Nell, Nan's mom and Patty's sister, at one point in this episode says, look, you need to go and paint that castle scarlet. Scarlet indeed with that red dress. And speaking of red, the red hair of it all. We knew we were going to be finding out exactly who Nan's mom was. We figured probably Leighton Meester, and yeah, it's been out there a little bit in the press as well. But did we expect Leighton Meester's character of Nell to be Patty's sister? Might I add, our boy Tracy has definitely got a type. First of all, Christina Hendricks, love her. I've loved her ever since I saw her in Mad Men. Patty is a phenomenal character, and I love that she is also finding her voice along with this theme of female empowerment. Now, my theory video this week is going to be on whether or not Nan was able to read between the lines and kind of figure out that Nell is her mother. So don't miss that video. It's going to drop in just a couple of days. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about what we do know about Nell. It seems the sisters have not seen each other in 19 years, which just happens to be the exact age of Nan. And as Nell points out, she was right around the same age as Nan when Tracy took her into his bed. All while Patty was feeding and raising and changing the diapers of Ginny, her other child. Let me ask you this. If your sister cheated on your husband, especially while you are out there literally still in the postpartum phase of things, do you forgive her? Obviously, Patty did not. They've been estranged now for 19 years. And like Nan said, 19 years, a long time without a sister. But Patty completely forgave her husband. And I think, too, that is a product of the times because back then, women were meant to be at home, listen to their husbands, and men back then, and really still now, can be philanderers. So good for her for finally speaking up and saying, you know what, after this wedding, I am going to divorce him. Her daughter's a duchess. She can do whatever she wants. And you know what? The world can have their judgments about her and whatever, but it really doesn't matter. She is taking her power back. She is going to bring her estranged sister Nell back to New York with her, wait for some word from Ginny. Oh, well, Tracy's going to have to catch his own boat back later. And I love that. Nell's going to be joining the family for Thanksgiving and apparently becoming an aunt to the girls that she has never been able to be. And it does seem like Nell has plenty of regrets. She has that walk with Nan where she is disguising this advice to Nan in terms of her experience and her regrets for having had to let her go all of those years ago. And again, I will get into that more in my theory video, specifically regarding whether or not Nan did actually figure out that this is her mom or not. But I also found it interesting that she chose to confide in this woman after not really knowing her. Was that intentional because they just have this sort of connection and Nan felt comfortable with her? Or was it to start getting on that path of her and Nell coming together and Nan actually figuring out that, yes, Nell is her mother, and this was the first step in them really getting to know each other. Interestingly, Nell stayed obedient to Patty in a way by not disclosing that she's her mom and doing the right thing as a mom and waiting for the right time and place for this to come. And obedience has kind of always been a thread woven throughout this show. Conchita having to be obedient to her husband and the Brittleseys. Theo's mom continuing to tell Nan, obedience is the next part. You have to be a good and loving wife. Ginny ran away because she was tired of being obedient and essentially a punching bag to her husband, James. And by the way, when James confronted Nan on the cliff, first of all, another beautiful, stunning scenic shot, but he put his hand on her and she's like, you do not deserve my sister. And he's like, you know, I'm going to find her. Do we think that he's going to be the one to find her? Will somehow Theo's mom have to let the secret out and he goes after her? Or did Ginny and Guy end up coming back on their own? We see all of the newspapers. Now, they are in a coastal Spanish-speaking country. They could be maybe on the Spanish Riviera, I think if that's a thing, or coastal Spain, or perhaps they did travel all the way to South America, which I believe was alluded to back in season 1. Either way, the headlines are reading things like, is Lady Seaton mad or dead? And we also saw in the trailer those newspaper headings with scandal ahead. Is the scandal going to be Ginny returning? Is the scandal going to be Guy and Nan continuing where they left off? And will somebody figure out that, yeah, they did spend the night together? Will Theo's mom let that cat out of the bag? Or something else from the trailer that I noticed, there was that minute moment when it appeared that Lizzie was running away from Theo. Theo and Lizzie did have an interaction in this episode. It was more towards Hector and Theo encouraging Lizzie to go after him. He's a nice guy with a beautiful jaw. And they do end up sort of getting together. Also, that scene where Mabel was inside of the window cheering them on, very cute. But is it possible that something's going to happen between her and Hector, or perhaps maybe she's comforting Theo if he does find out about Nan and Guy? Could Lizzie and Theo perhaps get together, and that is part of this scandal? Now, it seems like she's pretty happy with this guy Hector. She liked him from the start. And the poor girl's been through a lot already. She had, of course, that horrifying incident with James Lord Seaton back in season 1, which was just disgusting, by the way. And I want our girl Lizzie to have a happy ending. I want all of the girls to have a great love story. But I don't know if Theo is the right one to have it with here. Speaking of love stories, Mabel and Anoria. There is nothing more I want in this show than for these two women to be able to have a relationship with each other in public. Now, obviously, this was not the time for same-sex relationships. I'm sure, very sure, that they are completely frowned upon, whether it is women, whether it is men. It just was not something socially acceptable at the time. However, because Anoria is tied into Nan's family because her brother was married to Ginny, who is Nan's sister, and because Mabel is also friends with Nan, is there any possibility that they could come out and be accepted, and that this is one of the points that perhaps Nan is able to stand up, advocate for, and use her voice? She is all about the empowerment, especially female empowerment. And I hope that this does buck the odds and go against everything that society thought at that time. And we do get some sort of Mabel and Anoria coming out moment. I don't want them to hide. They're not hiding from each other, but they are hiding from the public when they're there dancing on the cliff together. I love these two, and I really hope we are able to get them somewhere closer to being able to celebrate their love for each other in front of other people. Now let's move on to Conchita and Dickie for a moment. I've loved Conchita's character since the beginning. She's one that has always wanted to use her voice as well. She doesn't want to be squashed down. She's always wanted to have this true love story with Dickie, and they've had quite a bit of ups and downs as well. We find out, though, that Brittle C is sick and that Dickie's dad is not doing well. So Conchita and Dickie are going to have to end up taking over their estate. And how about that line when he's like, oh, well, the last time we had money problems, we just found a rich American. Get out of here. They found a rich American that they completely treated like trash, which was never good, especially because some of it had to do with the color of Conchita's skin, which sucks. So nothing better than seeing Conchita take some power, use her brain. Dickie's like, when Conchita offers to look at the books, Dickie's like, oh, but what about all the numbers? And Conchita's like, hey, the only books my dad owned were ones with numbers in them. She looks at the books and she's like, things are not looking good. We could perhaps sell this, we could do this. And it doesn't sound like those ideas are welcomed very warmly. So as it comes about, we've got another American, Cora, entering the social scene. Conchita's like, hey, wait a minute, this could be an opportunity. So she decides they're going to take her under their wing and show her around this English high society social scene. They'll take one stipend up front and then another payment when she's happily walking down the aisle. And by the way, they will not charge extra for skipping. I thought that was really cute. Is Conchita going to start a little enterprise where she takes on multiple women and hopes that she can play matchmaker, get them married, and collect a fee for it? I hope so. That is actually quite smart and good for Conchita for coming up with such a great idea, not only to help their financial situation, but also to put her in charge of something and something that she's good at nonetheless. Now, at one point in this episode, Conchita is talking to Nan, and she says, look, we did it. Ginny got away. And she says, look, Nan, you did the right thing. Guy is going to take care of her. You've got to make this work. I hate hearing the phrase, make this work, when it comes to any marriage or relationship, because nobody should have to make things work. And yes, while Theo and Nan did have this big spark and chemistry up front, for me, I've always seen more of the passion between her and Guy. And hey, I don't condone cheating, not whatsoever. And it does suck that there was that missed moment where Nan didn't realize that Guy had actually come back to see her when she thought that he just completely took off. So there was that missed opportunity, and she met Theo, didn't realize, of course, that he's a duke and that if she gets together with him, she'll be a duchess. That was not the most important thing to her. And yes, she did love Theo, and she still loves Theo in her own way, but there is just this undeniable chemistry between her and Guy, and for me, that makes me Team Guy, which may not be a very popular opinion, because you know what? Theo's a good guy for being a duke. He never wanted women who knew exactly who he was, but I think now he's coming to realize, you know what? Maybe it would have been better, because obviously Nan could care less about the title. She's more into the true love of it all, and she can't seem to escape this passion and chemistry that her and Guy have very clearly had since the first second they laid eyes on each other. Now, is there a possibility that Guy could end up developing feelings for Ginny since they are away together? I'm not getting that vibe, especially after watching the trailer. I do think there is going to be this ongoing dramatic tension between Nan and Guy, the will they, won't they, the love triangle of it all, the fact that Guy and Theo are best friends. Do love triangles get any better than this? No, they do not, except maybe in The Summer I Turned Pretty between Conrad and Jeremiah. Again, check that show out if you like this one, and you can thank me later. And circling back to that conversation between Nan and Nell, Nan had left. She had that panic attack after the wedding. And Nell says something to her like, sometimes you just need to cry, shout, and dance to get over difficult decisions. And obviously, that is a tactic that Nell took when she was getting over the regret of having to actually leave her baby with her sister and have her baby not realize that that is actually her mom. And now Nana's in a situation where she's going to have major regrets, and she did do the right thing by helping her sister get away. She's a real hero, but at the same time, she had to marry a guy that she wasn't into. However, could they have really called off a royal wedding like that so last minute? I mean, definitely that would have created quite a bit of drama in itself. But now that Nan is married and she is a duchess, the day she wakes up after her wedding, there's a whole entire staff there at her beck and call, there to dress her. And she is learning truly what the day-to-day of being a duchess is going to look like. And poor Theo. At one point when Nan is out there on the cliff sort of reflecting on things, Theo finds her and says, I didn't even think you were going to come to this wedding. And then they have that very steamy romantic moment there. And things are getting hot and heavy, and I loved watching that. But I feel so much sympathy towards Theo because you know what? Nan is thinking about Guy that entire time when she's digging her hands into the sand, enjoying every single passionate moment and kiss. Unfortunately, she's sitting there wishing it was her husband's best friend. And the girl's married to a duke. I mean, most women of this time are living their absolute dream, but not Nan. And you know what? I respect her for sticking to what she believes in. She's never been one to just cower down or back down. And now she's in a situation where she really does need to kind of lay in the bed that she's made, quite literally, here on the cliff at this exact moment. But when Theo's like, marrying you is the best thing ever, I'm so glad you're here, and the things that are running through Nan's head are quite the opposite. Theo just has no idea what his mom and his wife have done behind his back, and it is never cool being in a position where people that you love are keeping secrets from you. And really, it's only got to be a matter of time until this comes out, because we are in a TV show here, and this is what the drama is all about. Now, going back to the Patty, Tracy, and the Nell of it all, obviously there's some major concern here because Tracy and Patty have told Nan that her actual mother was dead, only to find out that she was actually attending the wedding, not invited. Invitation must have got lost in the mail, wink, wink. And did anybody else think in season 1 that Mrs. Test Valley could have actually been Nan's mom? There was some glance between her and Tracy at some point, and I thought, perhaps that's it. But I also didn't think they would necessarily keep the woman around who was Nan's mom, like right in her face like that, and more importantly, right in Patty's face. So it makes sense. And of course, Mrs. Test Valley was revealed to be the abuser of Dickie and just a terrible person. And nothing made me happier than watching her go away to really allow Dickie and Conchita to live the marriage that they deserve and have their own love story, with Dickie being free of this terrible woman who did things to a young boy that she really never, ever should have done. But when Patty goes into Nell's room the morning after, they're kind of laying there in the bed together, and Nell says, look, I was young. I was swimming in a wild river. Patty says, you're just down there popping one bottle after the next, getting into my husband's bed. And yeah, she was young. And you also have to equally place some of this blame on Tracy. You can't just blame Nell, even though it was obviously easier for Patty to do that and then send her away. But at the same time, she also then had to sit there for 9 months and watch her sister carry her husband's baby. Hopefully this was in some guest house away from her and she didn't actually need to be, watching. But at the same time, I believe that was before they really made their money. So just to think about what that would have looked like with Patty, Tracy, and Nell all just together under one roof after this infidelity, yikes. And now Nell is going to be coming to Thanksgiving. She can be more of an aunt to the girls. And if Nan didn't already figure it out, which I kind of think she did, and again, we'll be diving into that more in my theory video, how is that going to come into play in terms of her relationship with Patty and her dad? She kind of looked at her dad a little like bombastic side eye, like, hey, bro, yeah, I'll arrange to get your boat out of here, but like, you're not my favorite person right now type thing. And Patty seems to be sticking with the divorce, and good for her. Patty is young and beautiful, and obviously divorce is frowned upon back then, but I also hope that Patty is able to meet a nice gentleman in the wake of her cheating and philandering husband, Tracy, who really never deserved her in the first place. Overall, I thought this episode did a great job of setting the groundwork for what we can expect this season, including a continued clash of cultures with this high society, the female empowerment of it all, watching these young women use their voice and their brains and help them rise above where society really wants them to be. The scandal and dramatic tension of it all between Nan and her mother, between Ginny and Guy being on the run, between Theo potentially finding out that Nan and his mom have been keeping this secret. I love the fact that Conchita could be potentially developing this new enterprise to not only get her and Dickie and the family out of debt, but potentially use that as a way to rise above. Or who knows, maybe they'll end up moving back to New York, which is something that Conchita has really wanted to do in the first place. But if the money's in England for her taking on these women under her wing, perhaps they will end up staying there after all, especially after Dickie's dad passes away. Right now, obviously, they probably want to stay close to family, but after that, who knows where they will end up. Or, now that Conchita is becoming Lady Brittlesea, perhaps she will stay in England and use this power for good, similar to how Nan is doing, because before, she was never going to get there. Between the color of her skin, the fact she was a woman, the fact that she was never going to live up to being the daughter-in-law like Ginny, who was prim and proper, and basically was like, F you, Conchita, even though they were friends, she was going to take on that role when she knew that Conchita wasn't, so she could be the good daughter-in-law. So was I fully satisfied with this episode? Heck yes. There are going to be 8 in total this season. That means we have 7 left. And there's lots of things that still have to shake out. Like I said, I'm going to be here with videos 3 times a week covering this show. It is the summer of love triangles, and I am so here for it. So please be sure that you go ahead, like this video, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next episode preview, theory videos, and like on pushing. If you like this show, you should definitely be checking out The Summer I Turned Pretty on Prime Video. 3rd and final season is coming in July. That is plenty of time for you to binge the first 2. And if you think the Theo and Guy love triangle is something, wait until you get into the Jeremiah, Belly, and Conrad of it all. Also finishing up my weekly coverage of Poker Face, plan to cover Dexter Resurrection next month. Check out my season 1 review of We Were Liars on Amazon Prime Video, and I may potentially cover the new show Smoke coming to Apple TV. We will see. And I will definitely be here for The Institute on MGM+. So if you like Stranger Things and Stephen King, do not miss that one either. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I will be back soon with more TV talk. Media Melanie, clicking off.